Do you have all your comparisons ready?
No, but do I need to?
Maybe. We can talk it out as we go.
Howdy. This is the Intro to Atlantic City episode of Due for a Win, the Atlantic City and Casino Biz podcast. I'm Kyle Askin, joined as always by Craig Stone. What's good, Craig?
I'm ready to spread the word and indoctrinate people who have never been to Atlantic City with the love and knowledge that we possess.
Yeah, so we didn't say the episode number because we don't actually know when it's going up, and I don't even know if we should call it episode something, because this is kind of an episode that you can listen to anytime, I think.
It will live forever.
It'll certainly have more staying power than our usual news episodes, I think. Do you disagree with that?
No, absolutely. Until
it should unofficially be, of course, a numbered episode whenever it comes out, whatever episode number this ends up being, which I don't know. But
so if it were comics and we were already 50-something episodes in, this would be issue number 0.
Mm-hmm.
The origin story or whatever, like the backstory that you need to know that
right.
For some reason they didn't tell you in the first issue.
But then when we come out with issue number 50 whatever, it'll still be one more than if we hadn't done it.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Just for extra confusion.
We have to make it as confusing as possible.
Right.
I like
so the point of this episode is, so we asked recently for some questions in a mailbag episode, which is also going to be coming out sometime around this time period. I don't know if it's going to be before or after this episode, but during the time I'm on break. And a couple of the questions were more basic questions about Atlantic City, and I realized that we had always been approaching the city as if you, the listener, knew quite a bit about it. And I realized that it's actually quite possible that you might not know a lot about Atlantic City. And so a lot of the stuff we're talking about, you might not have any frame of reference for. And so we just want to kind of give you a broad overview of what's in the city, the properties, the things to do, a bit about it. And I think this will be hopefully a good episode that, will have a bit more, like I said, a bit more staying power than our other episodes that people who are interested in the city can come listen to anytime, or people who are about to make their first trip can get some value out of, even a couple of years into the future when things might be different than they are now. But I think that was the thought process. Do you have any extra thoughts, Greg?
I just think that there are a couple things that we're going to talk about that I hope sort of spur some interesting discussion either in the Facebook group or comments on the website, because people who are frequent visitors to the city may have very different opinions than us on various must-dos and advice for people who haven't been. So that's certainly welcome. So if you are interested in that kind of stuff, certainly go to facebook.com/groups/DoForAWin. Hopefully there will be some of that there. It's totally possible there will not be, but it's just something to talk about and think about, because we have some things that are going to be interesting, I think, as far as like our opinions of Atlantic City and things that you should do as a first-time visitor and that kind of stuff, and also maybe a little bit of comparisons to Las Vegas, which I think we, for the most part, try to avoid.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's certainly not Las Vegas, but kind of before we jump into it, I guess we can give like a very broad introduction to the city. Do you want me to do that, or do you want to?
No, go for it.
So it started out as a resort town back in the late 1800s, I believe, or actually maybe even the mid 1800s. And it was a place for Philadelphians to go and escape the summer and head down to the shore. They could take the train down. And it basically, from its founding, was a place of, I guess, loose morals. I mean, the slogan is, it is the world's playground, right, Craig?
Yes. So I think they try to bill it now as sort of, or at least they did. There was a brief time, maybe around the economic downturn of 2008, 2009, where they were trying to brand Atlantic City as something of a family resort. And certainly when Atlantic City started, it was a couple of people who were trying to build it up as like a health resort. Like, oh, the salty air is going to, rejuvenate you and that kind of stuff. But in reality, like, it's real development as a tourist attraction. Like, there are no clean and pure beginnings to Atlantic City. Like, it was very much a place for Philadelphians to go and do things that would be seen as, not appropriate to do around their homes, whether that was gambling or drinking or participating in prostitution.
Right. Sports betting.
Right.
Horse tracks. All the good stuff. Drugs.
Yeah, so that was really the draw. Like, the draw was always sort of the taboo of Atlantic City. And I think, so that's going back 100 plus years, maybe even 120 plus years. And I think that's an interesting thing about the city that, to me, makes Atlantic City more interesting than Vegas, which is like, Vegas very much was sort of built out of nothing as a casino town. Like, it was nothing before casinos started cropping up. It was like an ostrich farm or something. Like, there was just nothing there. And Atlantic City, like, it was, before casinos came in the 70s, was a city. Like, it existed as a resort town and as a beach town and as a place, like I said, of loose morals. But, there was a history there that spans certainly longer than Vegas's does. And to me, is a more interesting history, I think, than Las Vegas, which is just like, Vegas was built to get people to come out and gamble and probably give the mob some money in a money laundering operation. Whereas Atlantic City was like this idea of a weird tourist destination of loose morals. And people came here and here, I say, I don't live in Atlantic City, but people came to Atlantic City and lived in Atlantic City, and it became this like vibrant town. And certainly if you read any of the books like Boardwalk Empire, Boardwalk Playground, Boardwalk of Dreams, to list the Boardwalk books, they'll talk about the history and how it became sort of a very, like, not wealthy, but like a place where the African American community was relatively well off, I think, compared to other cities in the United States. So that was kind of interesting, because like a lot of the hotels and stuff would hire African Americans and pay them a decent wage, but still very segregated as far as like North Side and the rest of the city. But it's an interesting history, and having read a couple books about it, I think, to me, that history makes it more interesting, but also means that you get more of a city feel there, unlike Vegas, which is very like this bubble, at least especially the Strip, of like, this is the Disney World of gambling. So that, I mean, I think that's something to keep in mind. Like, and that to me is why it's not Vegas East.
Okay. I just wanted to see how long you could go. But,
yeah, forever. The answer is forever. I have more.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's not worth getting too deep into the history of it. But basically, as Craig said, it's a city that's been through many cycles. It's had its ups and downs and ups and downs. And right now, I think we had just recently gone through a down, and it may hopefully be starting an upswing again. But during kind of the last big downturn from the middle of the 60s around to the middle of the 70s, the reason casinos are there is because people knew Atlantic City was dying. Atlantic City needed a lot of capital. It needed investment. It needed basically a reason for people to go, especially in an age where like air travel was becoming more and more common, I guess, from the 50s on, or even the late 40s on. And so these same people that from Philadelphia or New York, where that was just where they went for vacation, they could go to Florida, let's say, or really anywhere once airplanes became more commonplace. So anyway,
and I think car travel also even becoming more prevalent. Like it used to be like this was the thing that connected Philadelphia.
You could take
this was
the train to the shore, and the shore was Atlantic City.
Yeah, and I think there were 2 dedicated train lines from Philadelphia to Atlantic City. So this was like the option, and then you get driving and flying, and you all of a sudden tons of options opened up, and Atlantic City kind of started to lose its visitors.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, they had a referendum, and I believe 74 to bring casinos back, or bring casinos into Atlantic City. Of course, there had always been gambling in Atlantic City, but make it legal and hopefully try to revitalize the city that way. And it failed. And then I believe in 1976 it came back up, and it ended up passing. And I think one of the big differences between the 2 years was that in 74 it just legalized gambling in New Jersey, and in 76 they changed it to make it clear that this was only going to be legal in Atlantic City and nowhere else. So that's how casinos ended up coming into the city. And then a couple years later, Resorts was the first casino to open outside of Las Vegas, I believe, right?
Yeah,
or at least the first casino in the city to open.
Yeah, and it really pretty quickly grew into a huge gambling market. You know, every casino that opened made a ton of money.
It was bigger than, or it had a bigger gaming win than Las Vegas for most of the 80s and almost all of the 90s, I believe. So it was the largest gambling market in at least America, if not the world, for 15, 20 years.
Yeah, it's really crazy to think about because it never, I don't think, had more than 12 casinos, and certainly Vegas did, but just like we talked about, the population centers around Atlantic City, like with no competition in the East. Like there were no casinos in Pennsylvania, there were no casinos in Connecticut, there were no casinos in Maryland. And so when that started to chip away, starting with Mohegan Sun,
Foxwoods.
And Foxwoods in Connecticut, and then
Delaware.
Yeah, so that those are reservation gaming, right? Mohegan Sun and Foxwoods, and then as more state gaming came in, you got Delaware, Pennsylvania, Maryland, and all of a sudden it just really eroded away. And that's when you got into 2007, 8, 9, the double whammy with the recession. And that's when you went from a $5+ million gambling market to a $2.5 billion gambling market.
Billion with a B.
Yeah, 5 million would be like a weekend.
It's not a very good market.
Yeah, no. It was 5 point something. I think 5.2. I think at his peak, and has fallen all the way down to 2.5, and is now kind of stabilized generally around there. So, that amount of money is still a lot. Like it's still a lot to bring in, and it will support certainly 7, probably 8, maybe 9, although we get to see casinos, but definitely the loss of the monopoly and the lack of building the infrastructure and the non-gambling attractions during that monopoly, where everybody was just making a ton of money, is something that we've talked about a bunch of times on this podcast. And that's something that Atlantic City never really knocked out. And that's what they're sort of scrambling to do now and hoping that they can do to revitalize it.
So anyway, I think that's enough about the history. I don't think that's why people are here listening to this.
They want to go to the casinos.
So yeah, they want to learn about the city and how it is now. So I guess we can jump right in. And I guess just to start to lay out how the city is laid out for you guys. Right now, as we're speaking, in September of 2017, there are 7 casinos open in Atlantic City. Is that right?
Yes.
Yes, 7 casinos open. So there's 2 separate districts in Atlantic City. We'll start with the Boardwalk because it is the iconic place in Atlantic City, starting from the south and going north. So there's Tropicana. Atlantic City is right now the farthest south casino in Atlantic City, and it's kind of on its own. There's not a whole lot around it. It's a bit of a hike to get up to the next casinos north on the Boardwalk. That used to be where the Atlantic Club was as well. It used to be right next to the Tropicana, but that closed in 2014. So the Tropicana is at the south end of the Boardwalk. Then in the middle of the Boardwalk, there's Caesars and Bally's.
And Wild Wild West.
And Wild Wild West, which is technically Bally's, but sure.
But they're all connected. Like you can get to all of them without going outside. Yeah.
Correct. And so that's in the center of the Boardwalk. connected to what used to be the $1 Million Pier, which is now the playground, I guess, technically. And so if you go just north of there, the only other casino open on the boardwalk as we speak right this second is Resorts, which, as I mentioned before, was the original casino in Atlantic City. Still chugging along. It's the smallest of the remaining casinos in terms of profits, at least, and probably also in terms of gaming area, I would assume.
Yeah, Golden Nugget might be a little smaller. I don't have the data right here, but yeah, certainly has built itself kind of as a locals place now. Is no longer trying to be a resort the way it was when it opened, when it was,
so
the big thing.
And then 3 casinos that used to and may once again be right around there are the Taj Mahal, which is going to be the Hard Rock opening next year, the Showboat, which is open in some sense, but it's not a casino anymore, which who knows what's going to happen with that property. And then just north of that is the Revel, which is now 10, which who knows what's happening with. Hopefully by the time this episode comes out in the future, we will have more concrete information about what's happening with that property, but at least as we're speaking, we don't really know.
Yeah, we say it's now 10, but that was a name that was pitched, and it seems like the odds that it ever opens as 10 seem pretty low, so...
Who knows? So that's the boardwalk. As I said, the boardwalk's kind of the historic part of Atlantic City. I think that's what people think of when they think of Atlantic City, just because of obviously the book and the HBO show Boardwalk Empire, and the fact it was the first boardwalk in the United States, if not the world. And it's just kind of the iconic thing. I mean, when you think of Atlantic City, it's casinos and boardwalk, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Right.
And beach, yeah, sure.
So
the beach is related to the boardwalk.
So there's another separate area of the city called the Marina, which, believe it or not, has a marina. It is on its own, to be frank. There's nothing around it except for the 3 casinos that are open there. And they are the Golden Nugget, which used to be the Trump Marina, which is where the actual marina in the marina is. There's the Harrah's Atlantic City, which has been open there for quite a long time. I think it was the original casino in the marina, and I think it operated there by itself for quite a while. And then there's the Borgata, which is, as of this recording, the largest in terms of revenues casino in Atlantic City, the nicest one. So they're in the Marina District. They're not really... I mean, they're in Atlantic City technically, but you don't feel as connected to the city there. But they're fairly nice properties, all of them, I'd say. Especially the Borg and Harrah's, I think, are probably 2 of the nicest properties in the city.
Yeah, and I mean, there's been some surveys, I think, that Borgata's done that say that people who go to Borgata actually don't even... Like, most of them don't even think that they went to Atlantic City. Like, if you just go to Borgata and leave and don't go anywhere else, they say, like, oh, no, I went to Borgata. I didn't go to Atlantic City, which is the boardwalk. But, it is in the city, just in case anybody's doubting that. So, Bally's, Caesars, Harrah's are Caesars Entertainment properties. Borgata is now an MGM property. Golden Nugget is obviously owned by the people who own Golden Nugget, Las Vegas, and other properties. Yep. That's actually Landry's Restaurants.
Yep, Tillman Fertitta.
Yeah, and then Tropicana...
Carl Icahn owns Trop.
Right, not related to Tropicana Las Vegas now, which is actually owned by, I think, by Penn Gaming. Penn National, is that right? And then
that sounds right, yes.
And then Resorts is independent, but the casinos
independent.
Run by
managed by Mohegan Sun.
Right. So there's a lot going on there. There's no like mom and pop shop here in Atlantic City. It's not like downtown Vegas where there are a couple of small operations
Resorts
going, but
kind of a mom and pop shop.
Resorts is certainly
it's by far the closest in Atlantic City anyway.
Which I think we try to support in a way. But should we get into a couple of the questions that we've gotten about Atlantic City? Not even questions really, but sort of like suggestions for segments.
Well, so what's the big difference you think between Atlantic City and Las Vegas?
I mean, Vegas is just so much bigger and crazier, and I mean, I think that pretty much sums it up. Like, Atlantic City is not this like wall-to-wall neon insanity that Vegas is. Like, if you're going expecting that, it's just not going to be that. It's a boardwalk with casinos and a marina with casinos. Like, and I love the boardwalk for what it is, but it's, you know, the Strip is a very different animal. Like, it's this giant, giant thing with a ton of casinos, and it's a long walk between every casino. And just AC feels very different, and I think if you don't know what to expect, you're going to think it feels very, like, gritty and sort of not as polished as Vegas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a totally different feel. I mean, Vegas is like one big party. I mean, in some way, I think of it like a bit like it has some similarities to New York City in that you can be walking anywhere up and down the Strip at any time of night, and there's just tons of people around you, as there are in some parts of New York City. And Atlantic City is not really like that at all. Atlantic City, I think of more as there are casinos, and they tend to be like, that's the ecosystem that people tend to stay in much more than Vegas, where it's easier to move around and it has a different feel, and people are walking around on the streets with beer. And whereas Atlantic City, like I said, people tend to stay maybe in one place a bit more often. You know, I certainly walk up and down the boardwalk at all times of night, but I am frequently the only person out there. And it's a totally different feel. So if you're coming to Atlantic City and you're expecting something that feels like Las Vegas, I would say don't expect something that feels like Las Vegas, because it's not Las Vegas. It's something completely different.
Yeah, and I think if you go back and listen to the episodes that we had with Dr. David G. Schwartz from UNLV, we kind of talk about that and how Vegas was all about this big experience on the Strip, and like walking down the Strip with a beer in your hand, it's just this giant party, and they really went out of their way to create that atmosphere. Whereas Atlantic City, you know, resorts opened, and it was all about, you know, resorts made a ton of money, other casinos opened, and they were like, we can make a ton of money. They all did, but it was all about just keeping people in the casino, in that casino, and not about creating like the big party on the boardwalk. And so you never got the sort of, like, as much as the boardwalk is the closest thing to the Strip in terms of casinos, towns in the United States, that is not the Strip. Like, it's just not the same experience. It's totally different. It's more like, you know, these singular casinos, now only 4 of them on the boardwalk, and they're trying to keep you within them for the night. Right. Not trying to sort of like the wandering of like, I'm going to go experience this whole thing on the boardwalk. Like, that kind of ends, you know, reasonably early in the night compared to, say, Vegas, where you can go out and walk down the Strip at 1 a.m. But I mean, I love it for what it is. But
I will say a side effect, a possibly positive side effect, depending on the reasons you really enjoy casinos and Las Vegas, if you haven't been to Atlantic City, is that one of the big differences between Atlantic City and the Strip is that the gambling is actually much better in Atlantic City because of the reasons that Craig laid out. So things like 6 to 5 blackjack, I mean, they do exist somewhat in Atlantic City, but they're certainly not prevalent at all, not like on the Strip in Las Vegas. The odds at video poker tend to be pretty decent as compared to the Strip. Their craps odds tend to almost always be either 10 times or 3, 4, 5 in Atlantic City. And I think the absolute best you can do on the Strip in Las Vegas is 3, 4, 5, as far as I know, unless you're talking about a really low roller place like Casino Royale or something.
Yeah, I think Cromwell has...
Like Cromwell has 100 times, too. Yeah. But the gambling is much better in Atlantic City because that's kind of what it was built off of. It was built off of gamblers more so than the party experience that you'd see in a Las Vegas or a New Orleans.
Yeah, and I think a big part of that is that, you know, even going back to the very beginnings of Atlantic City, it was people who were taking the train for a day or for one night. And it's still a day trip or a, you know, 1 night, 2 night trip town. And it's people who are in those big urban centers DC, Philly, New York who are coming to gamble. Like, if you're going to Vegas, it's a vacation, it's a week, it's, 3-4 nights. It's all about going and getting the whole experience, going to shows, going to bars, going to clubs. Atlantic City has that stuff, but it's
unless
still
you're me.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for you it's just gambling, but it's gambling is the center. I mean, gambling, they tried to expand it, but the market they're going for is the gambler who's coming here for a day.
City, right? Yeah. Not like Vegas, which is party people or conventioneers or meeting planners or whatever.
And they desperately want to get into those markets, but
they're not there.
Yeah, they're not there yet. Yeah.
All right. So, I think we can jump into the questions now. So, the first question from Joe R. via the Facebook group, which we thought would be better answered here than in our general Q&A session, is, as someone who's never been to Atlantic City, can you compare the resort's quality to their counterparts in Las Vegas? For example, Harrah's AC is equal to Paris or whatever in terms of gaming conditions in the rest of the resort hotel. So, thank you very much, Joe R. So do we want to run through the casinos and talk about what we think the closest analogs to in Las Vegas are?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, you want to start with the first one?
Yeah, so Bally's, we actually talked about, I think a couple episodes ago, we sort of see Bally's AC, or Bally's Park Place, you may hear it called fairly frequently, as like a less pink flamingo. Like, the casino floor is like the crappiness of Flamingo, but without the pink neon everywhere. And I think that's a pretty good comparison in general.
Yeah, I think that's decent. I have a generally higher perspective of Bally's AC than Flamingo, and it's not because I like Bally's AC. I think Park Place is actually pretty bad, but Flamingo is awful, in my opinion. So,
Bally's is pretty bad, in my opinion. I mean, I think there are sections of Bally's Vegas that look very, very much like Bally's AC, which is not really surprising, but I don't think it's quite the comparison. I think I have another one that I'll compare more to Bally's AC, but I do think, like, as far as just the vibe, which is where, with the comparisons that I'm going for, it's like the feel of the casino floor that you get more than sort of like the offerings and everything else. I think Flamingo is the most similar thing to Bally's.
I'll agree with that. Although I will say, like, around that part of the strip, like, if you walk into the room, I will say, like, Atlantic City casinos, they're very big rooms with very high ceilings, much more so than the Vegas properties. I feel like that's my feeling, at least. Do you agree with that?
Than the crappy Vegas properties.
Yeah, like Flamingo.
Right, like Flamingo Harrah's.
Like Flamingo or the Quad or yeah.
I
feel like they all kind of have lower ceilings and you feel a bit more cramped.
Yeah, sure.
Mm-hmm.
So what about Caesars?
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. So Caesars, I mean, I think the obvious thing to say would be Caesars, although I don't think that's exactly right.
It kind of feels like poor man Caesars, right?
It does. It's well, I do. I agree. I think it's a slightly watered down version of Caesars. I mean, the feeling I get, and I know that me and you differ on this pretty dramatically, like, I really enjoy being in Caesars Las Vegas, and I don't think you especially like it.
I like it okay. I just think it's this weird sort of like hodgepodge of different things, like the sort of old casino floor and then this new really wide ridiculous expanse. It's huge, I mean, for one thing, and then you get the Forum shops and it's just gigantic. Like, it's just all over the place, I think.
No, it's all the nicer Las Vegas properties around there.
Yeah.
Like, not Harrah's, Bally's, Flamingo. So are we both good saying Caesar's the obvious parallel is?
I sort of feel like the vibe I get is almost like, as for the casino floor, is almost like if you went to MGM Grand, but instead of green, it was like yellowish.
Or even like
a nicer Harrah's?
Yeah, or like a nicer Monte Carlo or something.
I don't know if I'd say a nicer Monte Carlo.
No, it's not Harrah's. I don't agree with Harrah's at all. But we'll get to...
Yeah, way higher ceilings than Harrah's Vegas, which is very low ceilings in the casino floor. It feels very claustrophobic in there for me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, I think poor man Caesars is there. Like, it feels like imitation Caesars.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's
and certainly we both like Caesar's Atlantic City plenty. So
yeah, sure.
It's not saying it's bad by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, I mean, I think
it's a nice property. And
I mean, we've sort of talked about it as our second favorite property, and the rooms are great at Caesar's. I mean, I think.
Centurion Tower.
Yeah, Centurion Tower, nice. And yeah, but Forum Tower less nice. I mean, nicely renovated, but the rooms are small.
It's not as nice.
Yeah.
All right.
Harrah's.
So you want to talk about Harrah's? What do you think it compares to?
I'm interested to hear your take on this because I have a weird one.
I don't even know. It's Harrah's Atlantic City. I feel like is one of the strangest properties in Atlantic City.
Like Trop is also very weird.
Yeah, I agree with that. So, I mean, I will say that the obvious connection in this case is absolutely not true. It is nothing like Harrah's Las Vegas. That would be terrible. That would be a terrible comparison.
Right.
Actually, this isn't on the list, but Harrah's Las Vegas was almost exactly like Showboat.
Yes.
They were identical. Or if you've been to Harrah's New Orleans, so Harrah's Las Vegas, Harrah's New Orleans were more like Showboat. That was kind of the triangle there.
Yeah, agreed. Completely.
I don't really know about Harrah's Resort. What do you think?
So I said I don't know if you remember. You definitely remember the old Imperial Palace. I sort of think it's sort of like that, but like nicer.
Oh,
so
Imperial Palace is so crappy.
Yeah, so in terms of like
more like the Quad, if anything, because
right,
at least the Quad is fairly nice.
So like the Link is the new version. So it went Imperial Palace Quad Link. So it's not as nice as the current Link, I think. Mm-hmm. But the between iteration, which was the Quad, I think is a good comparison. But that doesn't exist. So I feel like it's like a shittier Mirage. Like as far as the casino floor goes,
I could see that. Yeah, it does feel. It feels more like an MGM property to me than a CET property, honestly.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I agree with that.
So I could see that, like a Mirage, or even like a much more claustrophobic MGM Grand.
Yeah, actually, I think MGM Grand's actually
MGM Grand is a pretty good comparison.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, let's go with that.
All right. So what do you think about Trop then?
This one was really tough for me because Trop is all over the place. Like parts of it feel really cramped, old, like downtown Fremont Street, like Four Queens or something. Like parts of the video poker room and like slot areas in the Trop feel very downtowny to me, like a cramped sort of downtown casino. And then there are parts of it that feel much bigger and strip-like the Quarter's very new, almost like a Cuban version of Paris. Like if Paris, instead of being Paris themed, was Cuba themed. I think that's kind of the Quarter. But the weird one that I'll go with is Treasure Island.
Yeah, I can see that actually. So when I actually think about the gaming floor in Trop, the thing I think it's the closest to is, and I have no idea why, but I'm like, it feels like the gaming floor at the Golden Nugget in Atlantic City.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It kind of does. Like they have that same sort of like slightly claustrophobic, smoky, like too small feel.
Yeah, I think I use Golden Nugget for a few as we go down this list. So I try to avoid that for Trop, but yeah, I mean it's very weird, sort of like
it is a weird property because the Quarter is like so nice and open and airy, and then like the gaming floor is not.
So the gaming floor is really renovated and has really high ceilings, but then there are these corridors of slots and video poker that are really low ceilings and really claustrophobic, and then there are other sections like over by the Players Club kiosk, the Players Club desk, that's like also more open but still kind of claustrophobic, like the Palm Court area. It's really it's a tough one, and I think that's
it's a strange property.
It's a strange property, but there's a lot of that in Atlantic City where, like Vegas, the mega resorts are these cohesive units, right? Like Bellagio, TI, Mirage, they were built.
Well, part of that, I think, is the history of Atlantic City. A lot of these places are old hotels which were converted into casinos. So I think that's why you have this kind of schizophrenic feeling when you're in them.
Right, and and even the ones that aren't necessarily old hotels, like they've expanded with new towers, and so like that's more like Flamingo in Vegas, and not like a lot of the newer properties in Vegas. Whereas, in AC, like resorts incorporated the old Chalfonte Haddon Hall and then added a second tower, which is the Rendezvous Tower. Tropicana has, it had a tower, and then it's added like 4 more towers. Harrah's has added 3 or 4 more towers. Like, every casino is like tacking on these towers. Caesars was a Howard Johnson. There was a small tower, and then they added the Ocean Tower, and then they added the Centurion Tower, and it's just like all these like tack on things, and it's hard to get the cohesion of like very clearly Venetian, Wynn, Mirage, TI, Planet Hollywood. Like, all those things were built sort of to be constructed the way they are. And so AC has this weird thing that I think is pretty unique to it, where the casinos are like, there's almost distinct things within the casino. Like, you feel very different in the Quarter in Trop than you do like playing video poker in Trop, or like even going to a show at Trop, which I think is in the North Tower. Like, those are very different feeling places. It's very weird.
Right. And yeah, it's just like, even the Marketplace, it's like so different than the Quarter.
Oh yeah.
Well, actually, you know what kind of like the Marketplace and like part of the gaming floor feels like to me, and this is such a weird comparison, but it's like Hooters Las Vegas or something, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's
partially
a great comparison.
Because there's a Hooters in Tropicana, right. But it, like, the old Marketplace area and like the old part of the gaming floor, it's just like a generic but really crappy Las Vegas strip casino, like Hooters.
Or like O'Shea's. So they did update the downstairs casino. So the Marketplace is right off the boardwalk, if you have been. Mm-hmm. The Quarter is as far from the boardwalk as you can possibly be and still be in Tropicana. And that's where Hooters and, a couple of crappy bars and a sub shop and an ice cream shop and like a Starbucks. It's like a walkway with a bunch of fastish food restaurants and a couple
the Mexican
bars
place with good breakfast.
Yeah, and the Mexican place Cava with good breakfast. Casa is the tequila bar and with good breakfast.
Cava is Mediterranean food.
What about resorts? I had trouble with this one.
Yeah, resorts is tough.
Resorts is resorts, man.
I think it's an old property. It's the smallest grossing casino in Atlantic City, at least right now. But I feel like everything is it's like very bright in there.
Super bright. It's nice.
I feel like the machines are like fairly new. It's not cramped. It's kind of, for me, like Tropicana Las Vegas, maybe. I think that's a decent comparison. Because Tropicana Las Vegas, it's like, at least when I went, it was like very bright inside. Yeah. It's obviously an old building, but it had been recently renovated. Like, everything looks fairly nice at like at least a superficial level, but you feel like under the surface there's still some problems there.
Sure.
But by all accounts, everything's new. It's bright. It looks nice. They also have a margarita section of the casino, which, if you're familiar with the margarita section of the Flamingo, those are obviously almost exactly the same because they're designed to be. But the actual main casino part itself, I think Tropicana would be my best comparison.
Yeah, I said Bally's, but I think I like Tropicana better. Like Bally, I like resorts better than I like Bally's Vegas, for sure. But there are things about the resorts casino that remind me of Bally's Las Vegas. But I like Tropicana. I think Tropicana is a better comparison.
Mm-hmm.
So Borgata getting to the big boy in town.
And we've both talked about this before, and I think we're both going to have the same answer. But in terms of the color of everything, it's also fairly bright. It's fairly nice, and especially now that it's owned by MGM, they're probably going to push it more this way. But for me, it is Bellagio. It's the Bellagio of Atlantic City. It looks like Bellagio on the inside. It feels like Bellagio.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of like less over the top Bellagio. Like it even has the Chihuly sculptures and everything, right, in the lobby, and there are even little ones around the property. But it feels very Bellagio. I think I get a little bit of Wynn in it, which is probably more Wynn's influence on Bellagio than like Wynn Las Vegas. But I do get sort of like a Wynn Las Vegas vibe there. Like if you replaced all the sort of like red hanging
that's
stuff
the thing with
in Wynn.
with Wynn is I think of red is like the color.
It's very dark. If you
Bellagio
replace all that
and
with
Borgata
white,
are white. I feel like they're much brighter.
yeah, and Bellagio is definitely the best comparison.
Right.
So what about Golden Nugget?
Ooh.
The last one, right? The last open one.
That's.
I have a really lame answer to this.
Is it Golden Nugget?
It's Golden Nugget.
It's. I don't. It's such a weird property. It's certainly a property that I have the least experience in. You know, I've been there the least out of all the Atlantic City casinos. It's pretty dark on the inside.
It's really dark.
It's kind of claustrophobic.
I would say it's very claustrophobic.
In terms of coloring, I'd say it's kind of like Luxor, but Luxor, of course, is wide open and humongous.
Yeah, huge ceilings.
Right.
Like there are tall ceilings, and then there's Luxor. Like it's way bigger than that. I would say Golden Gate. The very little time I've spent in Golden Gate.
I've never been to Golden Gate.
Okay, it's the coloring is similar. It's a little chintzier, I think, than Golden Nugget AC. Like I think Golden Nugget AC did a good job of making it feel like a Golden Nugget property. But Golden Gate's, I think, a little more cramped. It's still that sort of like gold and red coloring. It's darker. So I think like sort of Golden Gate, Golden Nugget having a baby. I've spent very, very limited time in either place in Vegas, so it's hard for me, but just from what I remember of Golden Gate, like that seems reasonable.
Yeah, I don't know if there's like an easy comparison. It's something that the next time I go to Vegas, I really need to think about this question as I'm in all the casinos and really take time to notice, because I haven't been to Vegas in 3 years. 4 years?
It's almost 4.
4 years.
Yeah, three. Yeah, pushing 4. It's 4 in November. So we have some bonus ones for closed casinos. Revel. Right. I think we both have the same answer for this.
I've talked about this quite a bit. For me, Revel's always been, it's a much darker color. Everything's very nice. For me, it's always been Aria. It looks like Aria. The coloring's kind of the same as Aria. It's a beautiful property to be in. It is, you know, I think the two properties that are Vegas Strip level properties in terms of how nice they kind of can be are Borgata and Revel, and I think that Bellagio and Aria are good comparisons for those two.
Yeah, I just said Aria, done. Like it is, the vibe is so similar that even the, maybe not necessarily the decoration sort of like details, but the sense you get when you're there. There's a little bit of Planet Hollywood, I think, in some of the casino floor.
I agree. I'd say the other one that it reminds me of a bit is Planet Hollywood.
But I think it's a little nicer than Planet Hollywood as a whole property.
I don't know. I actually like Planet Hollywood quite a bit.
I'm a big Planet Hollywood fan also, but I think the rooms are pretty dated.
I've never stayed in a room in Planet Hollywood, so Revel is. I like Revel a lot more than I like Aria. For me, even though Aria is beautiful, there's something about it that turns me off. Like it feels
sterile, almost
fake somehow. Yeah, sterile is a very good word for how you feel about Aria. And I didn't get that feeling at Revel, but I think it was probably just because of the experiences I've had there, and that I'm biased. And you know, I have much higher. Like, I have many more good feelings about Planet Hollywood than I do about Aria, which I also have a lot of good feelings about Revel. So it is closer in that case. But in terms of how it looks, it is Aria.
Yeah. So last one, Atlantic Club, our personal favorites. Been closed. No real rumors of reopening. What do you think?
So I'm horrifically biased. And I don't even know if this is a reasonable thing to say, but you know, the obvious casino that always pops into my head is the International, which is now the Westgate, because when I started going, you know, I was almost exclusively a Hilton player, and so I got comps to the Hilton in Las Vegas, and I always went there, and I did feel like how the casinos looked were very similar and how they were laid out. They were both very spacious, I think. Like there was a lot of space, it felt like, on both of those casino floors.
Yeah, I think that's a good one. Like I think the I said like a more spaced out Golden Nugget. I like to use Golden Nugget again. I think they're parts of Atlantic Club, which is not really surprising, right? Like they're both old Wynn built casinos. Atlantic Club sort of felt like a bigger, more airy version of Golden Nugget, but yeah, I think I like yours. I think that makes sense.
And although, like I said, part of that is probably just because I've linked the two in my head in some other way, and it might not be the best. That is what I think of, and I do actually think they do, or at least they did look quite similar. I haven't been to the Westgate since it's been the Westgate, so I'm not 100%. But if it's still that way or not, but I always felt there were a lot of things that looked similar between the two properties.
Yeah. So now that we've run down our sort of comparisons, I'm sure there are people like yelling at their.
Oh, I'm sure that there's people that have far better choices, and when you come out and say it, I might be like, oh, of course.
Right.
But there's not really. I feel like a lot of Las Vegas are like generically very nice properties, like something
like New York, your favorite.
No, that is not a nice property. Something like Mandalay Bay, right? It's just like a nice property, but it's like even Mandalay Bay like feels very sterile to me.
I like Mandalay Bay a lot.
Maybe it's something about like all of the top level MGM properties in Las Vegas. Like I'm not a huge fan of, because I think they all have a bit of that feeling of there's something about the flow, or I just don't get the same feeling that I get in other casinos. Like they're a bit too spaced out, maybe, or something.
Yeah, like Bellagio doesn't have it, but that's a win.
No, Bellagio does not have that. But MGM Grand, Mandalay Bay, Mirage, like I get that feeling in all of them. Aria.
Yeah, I believe that. I mean, Mirage a little less. Like Mirage also win, but yeah, I agree. I think MGM is like the corporate version of nice, like well designed, but not really so memorable. Right. And like a lot of things that you really remember about MGM properties is like actually holdovers from Wynn, which is not a nice compliment.
Yeah. All right.
Should we run through the various towers at each casino very quickly?
Sure. You want me to do it?
Sure. I can chip in with sort of the ones we've stayed in, whether we like, dislike. There are a couple that we have not actually stayed in, but we in the 50 whatever episode history of the podcast, we've talked about all the towers multiple times, and I think there's some confusion about which ones are which, so this is a good way to clarify. And if you're going and you're booking a room, it makes a very, very big difference from the difference between a Caesars Forum Tower room and a Caesars Centurion Tower room is significantly bigger than even like, should I stay at Bally's or should I stay at Caesars? Like that's not the question, right? The question is, should I stay at Caesars Forum Tower or should I stay at Bally's like Jubilee room? Like those are very, very different questions. So I think that's where the towers really come into play.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we can run through these real quick. So first we have Bally's, which is on the boardwalk. It has the towers are the Bally's Tower, which it's kind of one of the iconic towers I think in Atlantic City. It's big and pink and a square. I've actually never stayed in the property, so I don't have any input into any of these, which is a bit shocking. I actually stayed at the property once, but it was in the Claridge Tower. But I've never stayed in any of the open towers of Bally's. You've stayed in a Jubilee room. Do you have any quick thoughts on it?
Yeah, if you're going to stay in this tower, ask for Jubilee, I think.
Yeah, I hear that the old rooms are not especially nice.
Yeah, I think the furniture's pretty beat up. The rooms, the hallways, Andy and I actually last trip took an elevator up and just walked around a hallway there. It is a big square. Like it connects as a big square, which seems very odd for a hotel, but it feels very, very like early 80s. It's like you get off the elevator on one of those floors and it's like a time warp. It's very like has not been updated. Just mirrors, gold, black, like what, like the the alternate future and Back to the Future version of like Biff's Casino. It's very like 1985. So interesting to do that, but probably not the best option in Atlantic City.
Allegedly, even though I don't know if I've ever seen anything about it, there's a garden tower.
Yeah. This is a
What
weird
is
one.
the garden tower, Craig?
So apparently the garden tower is a 3-story addition on top of the parking deck of Bally's Park Place. People have claimed they've stayed in there. I know very, very little about it. The views apparently suck. The rooms, I guess, are okay. I think it's a lot of suites, but I'm not really sure. This one is just so confusing to me. Like you never see it when
it
you
never
get
comes up in my offers
offered
or
comps.
anything.
Yeah. It's a really weird
It's always
one.
Bally's and Dennis I get comp for.
Yeah. Yeah, so Dennis is the other one.
Yeah, so the Dennis Tower, it's probably one of the oldest casino, or one of the oldest hotels in Atlantic City, I would think. It is the old Dennis Hotel. It is surrounding Harry's Oyster Bar. It's kind of between the Park Place and the Wild Wild West. It's not especially tall. I also have never stayed here, though I know Andy stayed here last trip, correct? Have you been in a Dennis Tower room?
No, I mean, he said the room was laid out a little weird. I think they're more recently renovated than the old
the
Bally's
Bally's
Tower
Tower,
rooms, but
right.
they're still, it's an old building, so I think it's not going to be, opulent
Right.
or anything.
Hopefully it's better than our experience in the godforsaken Claridge Tower.
Yeah, nothing is worse than the old Claridge Tower, which the new Claridge, the renovated
People
Claridge.
say
like
it's
it.
nice now.
It's a Radisson, I think, now.
Yeah, it's a Radisson.
Yeah.
All right, so quickly we can fly through Caesars. The first lowest level of room is the Forum Tower, which is the old Howard Johnson, just above the lobby. It's been recently renovated. It's done fairly well. I'll say that the hallways are super claustrophobic. The rooms are nicely redone, but it's kind of a small room.
The walls
They
are
made some
paper thin.
questionable design decisions. It's not the greatest experience in the world, I would say.
Yeah,
I'd give it like 2 out of 5 stars on the Atlantic City hotel rating level.
Yeah, like in a vacuum, the renovation's nice, but it's just still a really small room. If you're not on the top floor, you're going to hear the footsteps above you. You're going to hear everybody walking down the hall around you. Like, it's just not a great experience.
Mm-hmm.
It's the cheap tower. And one thing to keep in mind in general, Atlantic City is like, if you're in the shittiest tower in a casino, like that's going to be
Borgata.
Yeah, unless it's Borgata, like that's going to be where
A crappy room.
it's going to be a crappy room where like most rooms are cramming for 20-something-year-olds who are going to the clubs, like cramming them in, and they're going to be up late at night and be loud. Like that's just the economics of it. So Forum is that and Caesars.
As a follow-up to that, it is usually a big upgrade, at least in my book, to get a slightly upgraded room, even if it's at a worse property, because you will not have 4 20-year-olds in the room next to you getting home at 3 a.m. and screaming for 2 hours.
Yeah, I think if you can get any tower, any hotel, if you can get one upgrade, like one tower nicer, then
it's going to be better than the lowest level
yeah.
of an even a nicer casino. So, all right, this Forum, 2 stars out of 5 on Kyle's ranking level. Centurion is the newest tower. It's up between Caesars and the Wild Wild West. You actually get to it from the 2nd floor, which I guess is not that strange since that's where the hotel lobby is too. But from the game floor, you go up the escalator and kind of go through these big double doors and look like you're leaving the casino, and that's where the Centurion Tower is. They're nice.
I love the Centurion Tower.
They're nice. I mean,
big rooms, big bathrooms, just really
nice
nicely
room.
well done. Yeah, rooms, great views. And I think every room I've been in Centurion Tower has been great.
I give it 4 out of 5. I'm not giving it 5
I
stars.
love it. I'll go 5. I love Centurion Tower.
Doing it.
Yeah.
And then there's the Ocean Tower, which is where most of the suites are. I've never stayed in the Ocean Tower, but it's
neither.
kind of a big, generic-looking glass rectangle that looks like it has no... It just looks like a glass rectangle. I don't know what else to
Yeah, it's where all the
say.
suites are.
It's right next to, if you're at the table we were at the Gordon Ramsay restaurant, it's right next to that.
Yeah, you're staring at the elevators to the Ocean Tower from there.
Right next to the gift shop.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't stayed there, so I don't have much to say about it. Apparently the rooms are reasonably nice, I believe, though. So
Yeah, I think due for an upgrade maybe, but are due for an update, but bigger suites should be perfectly nice.
So the next property is Harrah's.
Maybe the most bipolar property in Atlantic City.
It's an interesting property, right? So the low-level rooms are the Marina and Harbor Towers are both kind of older and have not been recently renovated. And they're not, I think at least, the last time I've stayed in them, they look nicer than, say, like a Forum Tower or a Bally's Tower, probably. Like, when you look at them.
Yeah, sure. Like, looks, appearance-wise, sure.
But, like, it seems like whenever, I haven't stayed there in a long time, but whenever you guys end up staying there, like, some sort of, like, horrific thing happens to you.
Well, again, I mean, paper thin walls. So I've been in regular rooms. I've been in suites. Like, the suites are very big. It's fine. You always get some weird thing. I mean, again, it's like where all the club people go, but it's also like we were there once when all the showers wouldn't drain.
Yeah,
and so
where
it's like a foot of standing
rooms
water.
had showers that wouldn't drain.
Like everybody in the elevator was just talking about like, hey, did your no, none of the showers drained. Like it was disgusting. I would say avoid those if you can. Like those are the ones that are the matching like 16-story towers along with atrium. All three of those are connected and look very similar.
Don't stay there if you can, for sure. And then, so the other towers are Waterfront and Bayview, which are actually connected to each other. They're essentially the same tower, but they have two different names. You can take the elevator for either. They're literally right next to each other and go to the same place. So they tend to be quite nice. I've stayed in the Waterfront Tower many times. I don't actually think I've stayed in a Bayview Tower, but I'd like to see it because they are very recently renovated, so they're probably even nicer than the Waterfront. But Waterfront Tower is very nice. No complaints. 4 stars out of 5.
Yeah, and so those rooms are located, like, the elevators are further off the casino floor up as you go toward the pool. So if you want to be right above the casino floor, right above the poker room, like, you're not going to get that in Waterfront or Bayview. That's Marina and Harbor. I think Marina is just off the lobby. Harbor is directly above the poker room. But the rooms are way nicer. Like, if you have any of the 5 towers, Waterfront or Bayview, you're probably good to go. Marina or Harbor, not good. Atrium's all suites. That's, I think, where they put their comped, 7 stars and that kind of stuff.
No. I've gotten offers to Atrium. I don't think Atrium is that nice.
It's a weird looking tower. Like, if you look at pictures of the inside, it's very weird.
But my impression is that some people probably like it better because it is all suites,
and it's smack over the casino floor.
Probably not as nice as Waterfront or Bayview, but I'm not sure. I haven't stayed there, so I can't give it a rating.
It'll give you like vertigo to look at the pictures of the atrium tower because it's like all the rooms open into an atrium, like a garden type thing. It's very weird. So I should just say, big tip of the cap to 7 Stars Insider, Daryl McEwen. He curates all of this information and updates it on his site, 7starsinsider.com. Just as far as like individual tower information, which, in Vegas, like there's so many people who are obsessed with different room offerings in Vegas, and there's not that much of that in Atlantic City, and he is the guy for Caesars properties in Atlantic City. So all this information is just based on, for the towers especially that we haven't stayed in, like everything is his info. So thank you to him for keeping that up to date.
Yep. Big props to Daryl. Also a very nice guy. So.
Yeah.
All right. So Trop, they have 4.
So many towers.
Five towers now, I guess, since the Chelsea. So we can start with the Chelsea. I've never stayed there, so I don't have anything to say.
I haven't either.
Do you know, is the annex, will they give you an annex room?
I think they will.
Okay.
I would not want it, but...
So the annex, if you don't know, is basically a motel, essentially, right?
Yeah, do not stay.
You don't want that?
Yeah, no. 0 out of 10 would not do.
I think the hotel itself is apparently, it was reasonably nice. I have no idea about it.
Yeah, lobby very nice.
If you're not in the
nice.
motel.
Yep,
yeah.
Absolutely. The annex looks straight out of a horror movie. Like, even going to the restaurant there, Teplitsky's, when it was still open, which was just under the annex, like, you see the hallway to the annex, and it's like, why didn't the lights not work? Like, can you fix this? It looked really bad. Anyways.
So... moving up the scale, I think the worst, or maybe I'm wrong, but my impression is that the worst tower in Trop, not in the Annex, is the West Tower, which I've stayed at several times.
You love
and
it.
have had some issues with. I think they're pretty crappy. They remind me of the Flamingo rooms. They have crap laminate floors and are totally soulless and terrible. I'd say, do they get 1 star?
No, they're totally generic and fine.
No, it's worse than the Forum Tower.
I would not say that it's worse than the Forum Tower. I disagree completely with that. I think they're in the same ballpark, but I would definitely take a West Tower room in Trop over the Forum Tower in Caesars.
I don't know. It's the problem with the Forum Tower is like that they don't actually have real shades, so an infinite amount of light comes in your window at all times of the day or night.
And you need a white noise machine to be able to sleep for even a second.
West Tower is pretty bad though. Hey, 2 stars out of 5. It's not a good experience. So my last trip, I stayed in the North Tower, which is just off the casino floor. You can walk right out the elevators and go straight to the Royal Derby machine, which I know is a huge plus for Craig.
Love it.
My room was very nice in the North Tower.
Yeah, perfectly fine.
You were in it.
Needed an extra bit of furniture.
Yeah, it was a big room. It definitely didn't quite have it needed like a piece of furniture and a piece of art, and it would have been pretty much perfect. But it was a very nice room. It's probably. I'll give it 4 stars out of 5.
That's maybe a little high, but 3.5.
It was nice.
Yeah, it was fine. South Tower? We don't know much about the South Tower.
I don't know if I've stayed in the South Tower or not. I think so. This was way before the podcast. I know me and my wife went up once and actually met Craig and his wife there, and we definitely either stayed in Havana or South Tower. I think it was Havana Tower though.
I'm pretty sure it's Havana.
So I remember the room was very nice, though, so I'm sure it was Savannah Tower. So South Tower I don't know anything about, so I can't really comment about it.
Yeah, so that's directly above the poker room and Boogie Nights. It's also pretty close to the casino because the poker room and Boogie Nights are right off the casino.
Right. The Havana Tower is at the very, very, very end of the quarter.
It is as far away as the casino from you can get.
It's past the parking garage, which is really far away.
Very, very far away from the casino.
So, but it is the newest... well, I don't know if it's actually the newest tower, but it's the most recently renovated. Or it's actually not true either. It's the nicest tower in Trop. We can say that. Absolutely.
Yeah. The renovations, so I stayed in one. The renovations are very, very nice. We sort of got shafted because we were on the bottom floor, so there was this weird thing where the window was like 5 feet off the floor, whereas every other floor in the casino has floor-to-ceiling windows with beach views or city views. So we couldn't see anything. But, it's a nice room. It's a nice room, nice bed, nicely redone, like decoration. Sort of the standard renovation for Atlantic City lately, which is like very red. Like Jubilee also very red at Bally's. But a very nice room. I would be very happy to do it if I was not on that lowest floor.
Yeah. All right. So moving right along, we have resorts.
Resorts, the best ever.
All right, so we have 3 different rooms in resorts. There are the old Ocean Tower rooms, which are pretty terrible.
Pretty bad. The furniture, really bad. Bad shape. It's not good.
It's tiny. It's not pleasant. It's just a bad room.
It's a really old building. It's the old Chalfonte Haddon Hall, like we mentioned. And it's the basic rooms are just really, really beat up. It's
1 star, Craig?
Yeah, I can't.
The worst room experience in Atlantic City?
It's bad. I want to give it a little higher because I like resorts. It's bad.
I do like resorts.
It's not a good room. But there are better rooms in Ocean Tower.
Yes. So, yes, there are also renovated rooms in Ocean Tower, which they're not just renovated. They're actually what happens when you combine 2 Ocean Tower rooms.
And
so
update them.
And update it pretty dramatically. I had these rooms once when I did the $20 sandwich. They are really very nice. They're very well done. It's a big room. It has 2 bathrooms. It's super spacious. I thought it was fantastic. I think it's easily a 4-star room in my book. You didn't actually see it when I was there, right?
I did not.
You didn't make it up to the room. It was really, really nice. I highly recommend it. It's got a ton of space if you want to go play poker or something on the ground before you head down to the casino, which I think we're probably the only people that actually do that. But And there's the Rendezvous Tower, which I have never stayed in, but you have.
Yeah.
Which it's also pretty large rooms. They're quite nice though, right?
Yeah, it's another room. I say it's similar to the West Tower, North Tower. That we talked about last time. North Tower of Tropicana, where it's a perfectly nice room. If that was the room I could get comped 7 days a week, I would be extremely happy about that. It just needs like 3 times as much art and like a couch, an extra couch. Like they're big rooms that just are like, they need a little bit more to be fully filled out, but it's a perfectly nice room, good beds and everything, good furniture. I really like those rooms, and to the point that, you know, if I was trying the $20 trick, I would probably specifically ask for rendezvous rooms. And if you're staying midweek or one night only, probably not too hard to get an upgrade. It's probably worth mentioning also that, like, in my experience, and probably in your experience also, like, the $20 trick in AC is pretty successful, like, pretty reliable.
It's never not worked for me.
And part of that, like, Vegas, I think they get it a lot. Like, they're used to it. In Atlantic City, like, they are not used to it. They
when
will,
I did
like,
at resorts, the woman's had the biggest eyes I've ever seen.
So I did it at Bally's to get a Jubilee room, and I had booked, like, the shittiest thing in Bally's, and they took, like, 15 minutes, like, going into the back room to figure out how they could make
like
room
how they could
in a Jubilee room so they get this $20. And I was like, okay, like, I'll let you do it. In retrospect, like, I probably would have taken less weight and just gotten put in, like, a dentist tower room because I didn't think the Jubilee room was so amazing. But yeah, I mean, definitely, like, if you want an upgrade, do the $20 trick. Especially if you're one night or if you're multiple nights midweek, like, you are probably going to get an upgrade, at least in our experience.
I will say I will disagree with you. I think if you do actually want an upgraded room in resorts, you should go for the updated Ocean Tower rooms. I think they're nicer than Rendezvous.
Okay.
I've been in your room in Rendezvous Tower. I thought the new Ocean Tower rooms were better.
Yeah, but either or, I mean, they're way, way better than the base.
They're
rooms,
much better than the regular Ocean Tower, they're bad rooms.
And they're probably also more than $20 more. So I would say,
yes,
you have a good shot if you just book the base room, go with $20 and ask for an upgrade.
Yep. So Borgata, the nicest property in the casino. I've only ever stayed in the basic room in the main tower, so I don't have anything to say about any of the other rooms, but the basic tower room was very, very nice, much unlike all the other basic rooms in any of the other casinos there. It's a 4-star room for sure.
Yeah, and there's just all the little touches are done so well there. The hallway is so nice. Everything's so nice.
Did you ask, has Paul stayed in the Water Club?
He has. Likes it. Sure.
Does he think it's better than the regular Borgata?
I think the advantage of the Water Club is more the access to things like
the spa, the special spa.
Yeah, there's a pool that's specifically for Water Club whatever reservations, people who are staying in the Water Club. There's a spa. So I think there's sort of that exclusivity that the main tower doesn't have. I know some people actually like the Borgata Tower better because I think they're
a little bigger, right? Is that a thing?
Yeah, and I think some of the suites are more recently renovated, so that in the main tower you have like standard rooms, classic rooms, grande rooms, Fiore suites, Opus suites. Like, there's a lot of different things. Water Club is just club and Vista rooms. Like, that's pretty much it. But you do have the separate access, separate check-in, separate everything in the Water Club. So it's all about if you want the sort of snooty Water Club experience, which is probably pretty cool. I would like to do that at some point. I probably never actually pay for it, but I would do it.
So
the last one that we know
is
nothing
the Gold
about.
Nugget, which neither of us have ever stayed there, so unfortunately we can't really talk about it much. Yeah. But
my
the
notes
rooms
are
fine.
pretty sparse.
I mean, I hear it's acceptable rooms, but I really need to bite the bullet once and pay for a room. But it's just hard to convince myself to do that when not paying for a probably nicer room is usually an option for me.
Yeah, yeah. So it's the Gold Tower, which is a bigger tower, and then the Spa Tower, which is a smaller tower. I think it has more suites, both right off the check-in line. So that's about all we can give you. I know people really swear by Golden Nugget. I know other people who gave Golden Nugget a shot and didn't like the rooms, and that's it. But we don't have too much to offer you on that. Other than that, those are the towers.
So that was kind of the meaty part of this. So there's some other stuff that we should try to move somewhat quickly through, given the length of this episode so
the
far.
longest episode of all time. Two-parter?
No, I think we can just
Okay.
chug through this.
Well, we talked about the gaming, so we can skip that.
We've definitely talked about the gaming. So the must-dos. So if you have one day in Atlantic City, what do you do? What do you need to see?
If you've never been.
You've never been.
I think you have to make it to Borgata.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
And
I think
yeah.
the three things for me you have to do: you have to see Borgata, you have to see the boardwalk, and you have to go to Gardner's Basin because I think it's the nicest part of Atlantic City.
I could maybe skip Gardner's Basin. But I would say you have to do sort of non-casino Atlantic City in some way. So like it doesn't have to be Gardner's Basin. Like you could do.
So like what? Like White House?
Like you could do breakfast at Gilchrist, or you could do dinner at Back Bay
Gardner
if
Basin.
you want Loki dinner at Gardner's Basin, or you could do like fancy dinner at Docks.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's also
Okay,
an option.
sure.
Or like Cafe 2825.
Or Chefola's or something.
Sure.
So, I mean, but it's kind of a weird question. So since you wrote the question, I'll needle you a little bit about it, or try to dig a bit deeper. So what would you say if someone said that about Vegas?
Like one day must do.
Because I know what I would say, but I suspect it could be vastly different than what you would say.
Probably. Wander down the strip. Just walk down the strip with a beer. And take it all in. At night, preferably. Hopefully your day includes a night. Oh boy. As far as like specific casino, it's really hard to narrow it down. I think Bellagio fountains have to do. Included in there. I don't know. You're going to say the old Caesar's pit, which I'm not a fan of.
No, I'm not. Okay, so all I would say, if you told me you have one day in Las Vegas and what do you have to do? Well, for me, it would be no doubt about it. There's nothing even specific that you have to do. You just have to walk down the strip and walk into the casinos, like each casino, and look around and take it in and be like, okay, now I've seen this. And then move on and go in the next one.
Yeah, I think
like that is the thing to do, and that's a whole day.
You don't even have to gamble. Just walk in and look at it.
You just have to walk in and walk around, see the things. You know, if it's at Bellagio, the fountains, or actually also at Bellagio, go in and check out the whatever atrium they have set up, given the time of year, and just check out all the stuff that's in all the casinos and see how each one looks different. And that's kind of the thing to do in Vegas, I think.
Yeah. So the flip side of that, Atlantic City, I do not think I think you have to walk down the boardwalk. I don't think you have to make sure you go in Trop and Caesars and Bally's. Like, nah.
Nope.
No need.
Just you should at least see the boardwalk, and not even because it's especially nice. It's just because it is Atlantic City, and to know Atlantic City, you should have at least stepped foot on the boardwalk.
Yeah. So those are kind of like have to do those things if you've never been. What about like sort of good tips? Where can we recommend restaurant wise for total Atlantic City noobs?
Well, I mean, of course, like anything else, it depends on what you're looking for. And like any other place, I mean, I think you can look at a place like Yelp or something and actually get reviews based on exactly what you're looking for. It's probably going to be your best friend.
Wrong. We're better than Yelp. Let's do this.
For breakfast, I'd say, Gilchrist is kind of like the place to go. Or the Casa in Tropicana is very, very good, right?
Yeah. Good option. Cheap. Big portions.
For other meals, it of course depends on what you're doing. Like there's tons of very good restaurants in the casinos, right? Borgata has just a litany of very nice restaurants.
Yeah, people really swear by Old Homestead if you want steaks. I have never been. Izakaya, I can't recommend highly enough. Like very interesting, unique menu, Japanese sort of like pub food almost, but it's nicer than that description makes it sound. I highly recommend that. What else? We talk about Harry's. We like Harry's a lot if you're looking for budget.
Yeah, we went to Harry's our last trip, first time in a while. It's very good.
If you want sort of a like old Atlantic City experience, there's a restaurant in Resorts, an Italian restaurant.
Yeah, you and your wife went, right?
Yeah. Capriccio, which is very, very good. the meal, it's sort of like just a classic Italian meal. It's not going to like blow you away with its interesting, unique flavors or whatever. It's just classic. And the atmosphere feels very, very old Atlantic City, looking over the ocean, which is very cool. I think the other places we have to mention are the Jose Garces places, right, in Tropicana.
It's definitely good. I know we've talked about them. Bar Alon, especially the happy hour there, I think is pretty spectacular value.
Yeah.
Of course, if you want something a little nicer, Doc's is great. Chef Vola and Cafe 2825, neither of which I've been to, are supposedly fantastic if you like Italian. Knife and Fork is absolute Atlantic City tradition. Talking about Gardner's Basin, we mentioned Back Bay Ale House. We both greatly enjoyed kind of the more the ambiance than the food, I think. But just Gardner's Basin is such a pleasant place to be in Atlantic City. It feels totally unlike the rest of the city.
Yeah, and that's a casual place, like burgers, fish, like crab cake sandwiches, that kind of stuff. Sit out there, get a crazy cocktail and drink and look at the bay and the casinos and everything. It's pretty cool. Just a cool experience.
I don't know. What else do you want to...
well, I mean, we have to talk about on the playground, the like Continental we both really like.
Yeah, the playground's cool. Continental's good. The sushi place is fine and has a spectacular view.
Right, like we've talked about Suzai, like going to Atlantic City, if you're arriving around lunchtime and you just want a quick lunch and then get to the tables, go to Suzai, sit there, eat some sushi, stare out over the boardwalk and the beach. It's a great experience.
Right.
Booze?
Go to a table and they give you free beer.
Kyle's booze recommendations, courtesy of Dinferwin. That is as Kyle as you can get. Yeah, I mean, well...
What are you looking for?
Sure, I mean, Continental has great cocktails. So we'll throw that out there.
I don't know what that word means.
Cocktails?
Yeah.
Which is not your thing at all. Yeah, I'm trying to think.
Say Miller Lite on the label. Yeah. I'm not interested.
So that's one thing, like, there aren't a lot of really amazing beer lists in Atlantic City. Wingcraft in the outlets is probably the best I've seen. One of the best I've seen anywhere. It's an amazing, amazing beer list at Wingcraft. Cocktail.
They brew their own beer at Back Bay. That's good. They have a big beer list at Iron House, right? Iron Room, right?
I don't know. Do they have a big beer list? There's more cocktails at Iron Room.
Oh, is it? Okay. You've been there and I haven't. So that's actually probably somewhere else we should mention in restaurants.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Iron Room is, if you want eclectic, like very, very foodie-centric stuff, go to Iron Room. That's definitely a suggestion that's worth sort of taking to the bank as far as like a unique Atlantic City experience. Yeah, I mean, Continental, I think, has very good cocktails. If you want in the casino... B Bar, where you sit and play video poker at Borgata, will pour you a very, very heavy-handed whiskey or whatever you want. Yeah, I think the cocktails are sort of coming around more. Little Water Distillery, which is totally off the beaten path, away from a lot of other stuff. They brew whiskey and... They don't distill whiskey and rum. They have a vodka, so they'll make cocktails with those. You can get a tour of the distillery. You can buy a cocktail for $7. That's a cool experience and unique. But all those things are worth doing. I'm trying to think if I'm missing any sort of cool cocktail places, but I think those are kind of the main ones. Continental is really like the sort of mixologist cocktail place to go. And
yep.
Yeah, and I'd say Wingcraft or Back Bay for beer, probably good bets.
So what else should we mention? Non-gambling attractions. I feel like we've kind of talked about that a little bit already. The big ones for me are, you should see the boardwalk. I think you should see just Gardner's Basin. The Steel Pier is pretty cool looking, especially I think if you have a family, that's the thing to do.
Yeah, I mean,
the walk is actually very nice.
Yeah, so the outlets are very good outlets. I mean, there's an IMAX at the Tropicana, which is kind of like, there's, if you want to see the latest big IMAX movie, that's an option. The pool at Harrah's is a very, very unique feature. Like, it's a pool under a big dome that's indoors. It's cool. I think that's very unique to Atlantic City, although now like Cosmo is building a big glass dome over their pool. It's probably done by now. So there are a couple other things. Obviously lots of good shows at Borgata. There's a thing called Viking Cooking School at Harrah's, but good luck getting a spot. They sell out incredibly quickly. Like every time I've tried to do that with my wife, we have not been able to get a spot because they're sold out. And the other sort of random one is Tropicana always kind of has these generic shows, whether it's like a holiday show or a magic show or whatever it is, that it's very, very easy to get comp tickets to. And they're, at least the like sort of generic magic show we went to was really, really good. So if you're looking for just cheap entertainment, like almost old Vegas style, like we have this entertainment because you come here expecting a magic show, like it's great. I really liked it. I think it's a good way to spend some time for very, very cheap, because free is very, very cheap. Live music, I think, is another thing to talk about. The Borgata has multiple theaters. Caesars has a theater that will have big acts. Boardwalk Hall has big acts. They do beach concerts during the summer every year. But if you were just like there on a random Friday night and want to see some free music, you have some options. Boardwalk Saloon at Bally's typically has free concerts every Friday, Saturday night. Gypsy Bar at the Borgata typically has live people. There are live people at most bars. Typically has live music on the weekends. Eden Lounge at Harrah's, I think usually has a cover band. So those are all options that are good for live music. So just all things to think about if you're looking for just a place to go.
So unfortunately, Craig, you forgot the biggest and most famous live music thing in Atlantic City, the Playground.
Oh, yes.
They have acts every night. I don't know if you knew that, but
yes.
T Street, it's very good.
It's
just
Memphis and Nashville combined, I think.
So that is a bit of a joke. So don't go to the Playground expecting live music, because there is none, because it's Bart Blatstein. So of course it didn't pan out. Yeah, I mean, I guess to summarize, I don't think there's too much else to say, but certainly if you're interested in gambling like I am, I wouldn't begrudge you going to the city and just coming in and being like, wow, these rules are great compared to Vegas, and just kind of grinding it out in the casino. But I would encourage you, both as someone who really has learned to enjoy kind of a lot of the stuff in the city outside of gambling, but also someone who's, hopes that the city is, that believes the city's recovering and wishes the best for it. I would hope that you would hopefully go out and try to see some stuff in the city, because it is a pretty cool city, and it's very historic. And I think that's a lot of the fun of going to Atlantic City, at least for me now. I know when I was younger, it was just about gambling.
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly lots of options if you're going to head out of the casinos. We mentioned Doc's, Knife and Fork, Gilchrist, Back Bay Ale House, Iron Room. Like, all those are options. Little Water Distillery. I can't say the word distillery at this point, but for Micah Brothers, we didn't really mention. Good place for pastries and coffee in the morning. Tony Baloney's kind of a staple for subs and weird pizza options. I think that pretty much covers the places that we kind of hang out. White House Subs is the classic, right?
Yeah, it is the classic sub place. For Micah Brothers bread, of course.
Yeah, if you want to go get an Italian sub or like a cheesesteak, which is not going to be the same as the Philly cheesesteak. It's going to be like more bready, but still like that's the style of cheesesteak I really like. So that's also an option. All very good. And I would say, if you're there for a couple of days, just make it a point to get out to one of those things to sort of experience the city in that way.
Yep. So here's the last question for you, Craig.
Go for it.
So, given all the stuff we just talked about over the last however many hours.
1,000.
Yeah. If there was someone who, let's say they're from the middle of the country, like Kansas City, let's say halfway between Atlantic City and Vegas, even though I don't know if that's halfway or not. St. Louis, maybe. And they really enjoy Las Vegas, and they're considering maybe going to Atlantic City for the next trip. But what do you think that's a good plan, or do you think they should just stick to Vegas?
I mean, I think it's something that you should experience if you're into gambling and into sort of the casino town vibe, because it's so different. I think that's the biggest thing is like AC is so laid back, right? Like it's just a beach town. And everything about it is so much slower than Vegas, I feel like. So it feels more relaxing to me. Like it's not so overwhelming as Vegas, where it's like I like the sort of sugared, crazy, like drink 10 Red Bulls and go nuts in Vegas thing. But I really love the like get to AC, take your time, go to get a dinner that, you know, at Knife and Fork that may take a while. Not that I've ever been to Knife and Fork, but like that kind of stuff I really like about Atlantic City. So it's a totally different vibe. So I would say, you know, if you
could do that in Vegas too, though.
Nah, it's not the same. Go someplace that overlooks the beach. Go to like, you know, whatever, Olan. Go to Capriccio and sit there and eat and overlook the ocean and enjoy yourself and just sort of relax, and then go do your gambling after in a totally different atmosphere than Vegas. That's what I'd say.
I think for me right now, the thing holding me back from giving it a full-fledged, like, yeah, you should do it, is that you're going to have to fly into Philadelphia, I think.
Right.
And you're still not especially close to the city, unfortunately. Or you're going to have to fly like Spirit to Atlantic City Airport, which I don't recommend anyone ever fly Spirit. So
there's nothing wrong with Spirit, Kyle.
Yeah, if you like paying like $100 for check-in or check bag or whatever.
Yeah,
that's fine.
Pay for your carry-on bag.
Yeah, you're $100 for carry-on. I mean, yeah. So I can't recommend it wholeheartedly. I do think it's a cool thing to see, and I think for the people on the East Coast who have never been to Atlantic City, it's just like a 3 or 4 hour car ride away. Like, you definitely need to check it out. I think it's absolutely worth your time then. I still think if you're in Houston or something that you probably are better off just going to Vegas, getting the way cheaper flight with far less hassle of having to drive, you know, figure out how you're going to do transportation for 60 miles from Philadelphia to Atlantic City.
Right. I mean, especially if you're sort of way south or way north and you're like, well, it's a 5-hour drive, but it's also a 5-hour flight to Vegas. Like,
you can do the drive.
Don't underestimate the stress of flying, is what I'll say. Like, that's not a very good pitch for Atlantic City.
Atlantic City, don't underestimate the stress of flying.
Right. Yeah, I mean, but I mean, like, the ability to just sort of like have your car there and come and go as you please, not have to worry about getting to an airport 2 hours at a time, not have any time when you have to leave, which is a really big thing. Like, that's the thing that always stresses me out on the last day of a Vegas trip is like, oh, I need to really make sure I'm at the airport, and usually it's at like 8 in the morning when I need to get to the airport, which is like, that's not what I want to do. I don't want to wake up and be at the airport at 8 in the morning after on my last night in Vegas. So that in Atlantic City I don't have to worry about, because it's like, well, I can get a bus at 9:30 or 10 or 10:30 or 11:30. So, well, the freedom I like.
I will say, I hope the airport situation gets sorted out in the next few years so that it becomes easier to recommend people do that. But I do think for at least the people close by, it's a trip absolutely worth making if you haven't made it yet and you're still thinking about it. It's a super cool town. I obviously like it a lot. I do a podcast about it.
And if you're in DC, Philly, Baltimore, or New York, you can do the Lucky Streak bus, which has open return. So that's what I was just talking about.
Yeah.
Book a ticket. You get on whatever the next bus is to AC. You stay as long as you want, and then you take
any
whatever
bus
any bus from any casino. Doesn't matter if it's the casino you went to initially. They do not care. They will take you back to your destination. So that's pretty nice. Highly recommended for convenience, not necessarily for the actual experience of sitting on a bus for 3 hours. But.
Anyway, like I said, hopefully you do check out Atlantic City. And if you are an Atlantic City veteran and you have umbrage with anything that we've said over this 6-hour special, you can reach out to us at facebook.com/group/do-for-a-win and let us know why we're wrong.
Yeah, give us your comparisons. I want to hear your casino comparisons for Vegas versus Atlantic City.
Yeah. I would really love to know what you think Harrah's is like in Las Vegas.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
That's the tough one, I think. So you can find our content at doforone.com. You can find our podcast on Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, iTunes, YouTube, maybe if you ever fix the YouTube thing.
Yeah. I've had some trouble.
You can reach out to Craig on Twitter at doforwin or send him an email at doforwin@gmail.com. So any last words, Craig?
No, thanks for sticking with us through this whole thing if you made it through it.
Yeah, and thanks for sticking with us during our news downtime, and hopefully we'll get some regularly scheduled news back to you sometime soon. I'll be back.
Okay.
Peace.